So hello all and welcome, and it is I, the MGTOW philosopher, also known as the realist. So how y'all doing today? I hope you're all doing fine, and well. I'm doing okay, I'm doing alright. A little tired, what are you gonna do? But anyway, so a lot of stuff going on in the news cycle lately about Jeffrey Epstein and how the Republicans don't want to talk about it. It's suddenly verboten. We're not going to discuss it. It's a waste of time. We don't care about this stuff, even though Trump spent, his entire campaign talking about how he was going to declassify these files and what a big deal it was. But all of a sudden, it's not a big deal. So says Ben Shapiro and the other talking heads over there at the Daily Wire. And everybody else who has claimed to be part of the not mainstream media, but they now seem to be the mainstream, and they're telling you it's not important, nothing to see here, move on. I beg to differ. I think this is extremely important. I wanted to talk about it a little bit more. Now, I'm going to talk about my own personal thoughts in regards to Trump and what I think his involvement might be, and why this is being swept under the rug, or it's being attempted anyhow. I'm going to talk about that in another video. In this video, I wanted to talk about Trump's relationship with Epstein. What relationship, you might say? Because I think a lot of people out there don't understand the depth, the scope of the relationship, the friendship that Trump actually had with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I'm going to talk about this from the mouth of Epstein himself, and you might say, oh, well, why would we trust anything Epstein had to say in any way? He did. We can't go back and ask him counter questions and grill him on this stuff. And anyway, he's a PD, F file. Well, I trust him. Well, just because the guy is a degenerate, scumbag monster, it doesn't necessarily mean he's lying about a friendship he had for quite some time years ago. So, one doesn't necessarily equate to the other. That said, I would recommend taking what he says with a grain of salt, but I would also like to mention that what I'm going to read here from his own mouth has no incentive to lie, really. But be that as it may, let's hear about, from Jeffrey Epstein himself, his former friendship with our current president, Donald Trump, and then you be the judge. So, these are from the Jeffrey Epstein tapes. I was Donald Trump's closest friend. You also want to keep in mind that these two were very close in age, mere handful of years apart, it seems. So, the predator and the president. By the way, would I like to add that we can often know a person by their friends, because people, generally speaking, tend to be friends with people who are just like them. Something to keep in mind. And you could say, well, Trump didn't know he was a scumbag PDF file, So Trump says. That said, that's what you are. And you have the character and the mindset and the moral compass of a PDF file, which is going to express itself in every other aspect of your life as well, and the decisions you make and the views and beliefs you have, and those are readily visible in both action and expression. So, something to think about. So, explosive tapes recorded by author Michael Wolff show Epstein claiming Trump liked to F his friends' wives and first slept with Melania on the Lolita Express. That would be his much much younger wife. Yes. Interesting, eh? Interesting. I'm sure that's just totally made up for no reason whatsoever, though, by Epstein. All right, so Jeffrey Epstein described himself as Donald Trump's closest friend. Maybe that is true, maybe it's not. Maybe that's just from Jeffrey Epstein's own point of view and not Trump's. And claimed intimate knowledge is proclivity for sex. I mean, I would believe that. Trump is definitely a degenerate. Absolutely. Yeah, he's got a lot of kids, but by a lot of different broads, and the dude himself, by his own words, has been with a lot of broads. So, yeah, and we know he's cheated. So, yeah, he's a degenerate. Including cuckolding his best friends, according to recordings obtained exclusively by the Daily Beast. Okay, Alright, The convicted PDF file even boasted of his closeness to Trump and his now wife, Melania, by claiming first time he slept with her was on my plane, which was dubbed the Lolita Express. I would believe that. I would personally believe that. Now, the real question is, how old was she at the time? That's what I'd like to know. Why was she on the plane? Was she one of Epstein's female assets? You know, a little carrot to dangle there for his blackmail scheme, which he had many. And he bought those girls off with, various gifts and cashola. Supposedly there were over 1,000 of these victim young ladies underage. We'll get into that in another video, though. Epstein spoke at length about Trump with the author Michael Wolff in 2017, 2 years before he was found dead in his cell. Found dead. Yeah, that's a nice way of putting that he was murdered. But anyway, Wolff was researching his bombshell bestseller, Fire and Fury, at the time. The recordings cast more light on Trump's relationship with Epstein and will add to debate over the character of a Republican candidate, especially his attitudes and conduct toward women just days before the election. I don't really care that much about his character and conduct toward women so long as it's not illegal. I don't give a crap. I'm not one of these simpy blue pill dudes that runs around. He was mean to women and didn't respect them as they deserved to be respected. That's just your typical gynocentrism. I don't care about that. The tapes tell Epstein's version of the relationship between two former friends and their very different paths. One toward infamy, prison, and suicide. Come on, suicide. Give me a break. The other toward power, the Oval Office, and his own criminal conviction of paying hush money to a porn star. Yeah, give me a break. Who cares? Nobody cares about that absurdity. Trump's camp referred to the tapes release as false smears and election interference. Okay? I mean, you could do that, but I love the election interference part. Yeah. Suddenly, truth. Well, truth insofar as the words that are coming out of Epstein's mouth, it's true that they're coming out of his mouth. Whether or not the words themselves are true is another matter. The tapes also offer unusual insight into the friendship of two wealthy, powerful men. Yeah, Epstein was a wealthy dude. Where does money come from? We don't know. Who was blackmailed? Nobody. He kept no records of that stuff anywhere. Okay, who frequently went out on the town together, prowling for women in New York and Atlantic City. Yeah. Oh, but Trump had no part, never availed himself of the hundreds, nay thousands of young ladies that Epstein had on call. Okay. Epstein painted a complicated portrait of Trump. He called him charming and always fun. I would believe that. Capable of extraordinary salesmanship. Sold himself pretty good, yeah. And suggested he was personally in favor of Trump's policies on the, TS stuff. But he alleged Trump was a serial cheat in his marriages. We already know that. He's admitted that. And loved to F the wives of his best friends. That's weird. That's kind of weird. Why you want to F your friends' wives? That I don't get. I guess he gets some weird kinky thrill out of that. Anyhow, he also claimed that while Trump has friends, he was at heart a friendless man incapable of kindness. I believe that. I would believe that Trump just keeps people around for their utility to him. I would absolutely believe that. Yeah. And he alleged Trump had undergone scalp reduction surgery for baldness and called himself the Trumpster. The man is very vain. I believe that also. Yeah, okay. Everything I know about the guy, that plays into it. Yeah, that plays into that. I believe he's had scalp reduction surgery. Asked by Wolf, how do you know all this? Epstein replied, I was Trump's closest friend for 10 years. Well, I mean, about as close a friend as Trump himself can have. Wolf shared the tape with the Daily Beast ahead of discussing it on his Fire and Fury podcast. On Monday, last Thursday, caused shockwaves by revealing a few seconds of separate recordings in which Epstein spoke in detail about the inner workings of the Trump administration. Okay, Wolf also said Thursday that the PDF file showed off photos of Trump with topless young women sitting in his lap. Okay, interesting. How young would be my question. And how do we corroborate that? Can we find these young women and ask them what age they were when those photos were taken that Epstein is actually showing off physically? I'm sure a lot of you out there would just say, oh, those are just Photoshop. Okay. Of course, we can't find these bras. Nobody wants to find these bras. Somebody wants to investigate any of this, including Trump all of a sudden. Interesting. Anyway, Wolf, a veteran journalist and author who was also the biographer of Rupert Murdoch, has long attracted praise and bromides. When Fire and Fury was published in January 2018, Trump tried to stop it. I find that interesting. If it was all a bunch of BS, why would... Yeah, it's all a bunch of BS. Well, you could say it's all lies. That's why I tried to stop it. Lies, we say. He tried to stop it with a failed cease and desist order and threatened to sue. Trump loves to threaten to sue people. Just like he loves to threaten the release of Epstein's files, which later turned out to have nothing in them. Except all that redacted stuff that we don't want you to see. No case ever materialized, and it sold 5 million copies worldwide. It's not bad. What do you think? The guy got $1 a copy? Maybe. He made a pretty penny. Wolf, who appears regularly on his Fire and Fury podcast, wrote 2 more books on Trump after Fire and Fury, and about Epstein in 2021's Too Famous. Wolf says he was up to 100 hours of recordings of interviews with Epstein. Wow, that's a lot. I'd be interested in hearing some of those, including from using him as a source for Fire and Fury, and from years of meetings when the disgraced financing investments with what? With what money that came from where? We don't know. Nobody wants to know, apparently. Wolf said he decided to release parts of the archive after a new accuser, a former Miss Switzerland, alleged last week that Trump had groped her in 1992. I actually believe that. I can see Trump groping abroad, especially 1992. Still pretty young dude at that time. The new recording offers extraordinary insights into Epstein, who in 2017 was shuttling freely on his 2 private jets between his Manhattan penthouse, his Palm Beach, Florida estate, and Little St. James, a private island in the Virgin Islands. Yeah, dude owns his own island. And a mansion on that island, bought with money that came from nowhere, apparently. Well, which most money seems to, but at least we know where that was printed. that it was actually printed, where it came from. We don't know where this guy's money came from. And apparently we don't care. The new recording offers extraordinary insights into Epstein, who in 2017... Okay, we already read that. Epstein had been convicted in 2008 in Florida of procuring a child for, prostitution and soliciting a prostitute in a plea deal that allowed him to escape prosecution for victimizing multiple underage girls in return for an 18-month sentence. I wonder how he got such a sweetheart deal for being an trafficker and PDF file. Proven in court at this point. Wow, yeah. I wonder, he spent the years, maybe he was some foreign government's asset, and maybe our government's asset as well. Joint asset, perhaps. He spent the years after his release associating with billionaires, including Leon Black, the co-founder of Apollo Global. Imagine that. Management, who paid him more than $150 million for financial advice. So I can imagine that Epstein would probably have access to insider information that he would then use to grow his fortune, a fortune that we don't know where the roots of it came from. Okay. So, yeah, people might actually pay him for financial advice, or maybe, just maybe, that financial advice is the same kind of payments that, I don't know, a certain son of a former president got for his crappy art. Yeah, because Hunter Biden was a brilliant artist. We can tell by those finger paintings he sold for $500,000 a pop. Yeah. And Microsoft founder Bill Gates, and dining behind closed doors with members of the financial and political elite. Yeah, because I'm sure that financial advice that he was paid hundreds of millions for weren't, blackmail payments to keep their own PDF file activities secret. Nah, can't be. Because, he has no records of any of these people anywhere, so it never happened. And we don't want to know. In July 2019, however, he was arrested by the FBI and charged with child trafficking. 6 weeks later, Epstein's body was found hanging in his prison cell. All of a sudden, he just gets arrested in July of 2019. July 2019. Interesting. Yeah. Where said he died by suicide, yeah. Okay. Wolf told the Beast he interviewed Epstein, then 64, in a gargantuan study in his townhouse on East 71st Street in Manhattan 2 years before his death. The Beast has viewed the entire recording, which is 1 hour, 44 minutes long. The voice in the tape clearly matches recordings of Epstein's voice from depositions in 2012 and 2016. The Trump campaign had clearly attacked Wolf for releasing the audio of Epstein, calling the author a disgraced writer. How's he disgraced? Can somebody give me an example? Routinely fabricates lies in order to sell fiction books because he clearly has no morals or ethics. I don't know. Trump telling others they have no morals or ethics. I don't know, dude. But anyway, by the way, is there any evidence that this author Wolf has no morals or ethics? Hey, spokesperson renewed the attack Saturday and said he waited until days before the election to make outlandish false smears, all in an effort to engage in blatant election interference. That could be true. Or it could not be. Maybe he just doesn't like you, Trump, because, you tried to sue him in the past. And you've cost him lots and lots of money. You tried to bankrupt him in the courts. Maybe that's why. No, that can't be it. Can't be personal animus that I myself instigated and created and stirred up. Nah. He's a failed journalist. How is he a failed journalist? Okay. Maybe I'm missing something here. That is resorting to lying for attention. Sources in the Trump camp also suggested it was widely known that Trump had kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago when he learned about the trafficking. How is that widely known? Well, Trump said so. After the fact? Come on, man. That sounds like damage control to me and nothing more. But anyway, Trump's long friendship with Epstein, which spanned the late 1980s, yo. I told you. Goes back a lot further than Trump said. 1990s and early 2000s has been well documented. In the 90s, the two publicly partied at Mar-a-Lago and went to a Victoria's secret angel show together in 2022. Trump told New York Magazine of Epstein, "I've known him for 15 years. Interesting, terrific guy." Seems he's known him for longer than that at that point. He's a lot of fun to be with. Y'all bet. He has a ready supply of candy. Yeah. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. Yeah. Wink, wink. Epstein's infamous leaked address books had Trump's own phone number as well as Melania's, while Trump's name appeared 7 times in the passenger log of Epstein's planes. I'm sure he was just flying to that remote island just to, play cricket or whatever you do on a remote island in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. The books and log also included princes, politicians, potentates. Well, I'll tell you what. Trump, who's got way more money, were this many princes and heads of state traveling to see Trump? Maybe. I don't know. Kind of doubt it. But this guy, this Epstein, all these people are flying out to a remote island. They'll happen to be dudes. It makes one wonder that maybe there's some reason they're going out to this remote, no eyeballs around, no witnesses to witness what they're doing island. It makes you wonder, what's the reason for going out here? Yeah, just to play some golf? Does he have a golf course on this island? I don't know. To walk the beach? What's the purpose? Is there something out here on this island I don't know about? I think we all know about what was out there. Yeah. Anyway, Bill Clinton, former Prime Minister Tony Blair, veritable who's who of the global elites, former Israeli PM, Prince Andrew, who Trump said he didn't even know until pictures surfaced of them together. Oh yeah, okay, that guy, yeah, I knew him. I know I said I didn't, but it's Epstein that's the liar. Meanwhile, Epstein is a proven PDF file, but not a proven liar. Or maybe he is, I don't know. But Trump is, by that logic, also a proven liar, so I don't know. In 2022, Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine, there she is in that photo, whose father was a known, proven Mossad asset. But no, there's no evidence that Israel was in any way, shape, or form involved in this blackmail scheme that had no people being blackmailed, apparently. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's former girlfriend, who procured him underage girls, who nobody seems to know who they are, because nobody seems to be able to find them, to talk to them and find out who the dudes were that actually availed themselves of these young ladies' services at the time, would be sentenced to 20 years in federal prison for sex trafficking of minors. Well, she doesn't even belong there, because none of this ever happened. We can't prove that there were any blackmailees. So how is she a blackmailer who procured trafficking minors in the first place if there were no blackmailees? Because there's no list anywhere, right? Even though it's apparently on Pam Bondi's desk. Upon hearing of her arrest in 2020, Trump, then president, said he wished her well. Yeah. Her friend or boyfriend was either killed or committed suicide in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. Good luck. Gee, I wonder if Trump had anything to do with Epstein going bye-bye. I wonder. In 2004, Epstein and Trump fell out when they both tried to buy a Palm Beach estate. Mason de la Amete out of bankruptcy. The next year, the FBI began investigating Epstein for child you know what. It's interesting. So I guess it wasn't that strong a friendship. They fell out over a property. Well, certainly not strong on Trump's side. In 2019, on the day after Epstein's arrest, Trump's in the Oval Office. I was not a fan of his. I think we know that's not true. He was a fan of his until he wasn't a fan of his, until he didn't get something he wanted because Jeffrey got it. Yeah. So he's not a fan, but I guarantee he was. and that they had not been friends for 15 years. He said it did not much matter what the fallout had been over. This September, asked about Epstein by the tech podcaster Lex Friedman, who just himself appeared out of nowhere, has no merit, has no real talent, just popped up out of nowhere with a six-figure studio. That's an interesting case as well. Trump said, he's a good salesman. He was a healing-hearted type of guy. He had some nice assets that he'd thrown around like islands, but a lot of big people went to that island. I wonder why. But fortunately, I was not one of them. That turned out to be a lie, by the way. But Trump, I thought you were an honest guy, but you say other people are liars, but we should trust you. However, the financier's version of their relationship has never been heard until now. Actually, that can be proven to be false. We have flight logs that show that Trump has been out to that island on numerous occasions. So, yet another lie. So how much of what Trump says should we trust? He offers a portrait of Trump's womanizing, yelling at staff, and living a basically friendless life with only his daughter Ivanka, his secretary, and his bodyguard truly loyal to him. And that matches up to what we know. Okay, so, I mean, he's a powerful guy with a huge net worth, a lot of assets. Now, that kind of power can often isolate one. There's nothing surprising about any of that. Trump, he said, was almost functionally illiterate, but did read... Functionally illiterate? Really? But did read the page 6 gossip column in the New York Post. He was incapable of reading a balance sheet, and any act of kindness would have been an accident, Epstein said, or to curry favor, or for good optics as a politician, as he is now. But I believe all that, by the way. It fits very well with what we know about the guy. But it is Epstein's description of Trump's conduct toward women which is likely to attract the most attention. Again, unless he did something illegal, I don't care. Although groping a woman, that would be illegal, given the pair's long friendship. And the 28 women who have made accusations against the former president. I don't care about accusations. How many of them went to the cops? Is any of it provable? I don't care about accusations unless they can be backed up by evidence. I don't care if they didn't go to the cops. I don't care. Move on. Many of the attacks are alleged to have occurred when he and Epstein were friends. Again, don't care. On the tape, Epstein can be heard saying he's a horrible human being. He's doing nasty things to his best friends, wives, anyone who he tries to gain their trust and uses it to do things to them. Yeah, I believe that. On one occasion, Epstein alleged Trump took a woman to what he called the Egyptian room in the Atlantic casino. Epstein alleged he came out afterwards and said, it was great. The only thing I really like to do is F the wives of my best friends. That's just the best. So this is a guy, I believe that. I mean, the guy has everything, has had everything, done almost everything. So I guess there's very few things that you're going to get a thrill out of except the danger that such activities as that entails, or dangerous activities in general. And I don't see Trump going out and jumping out of a plane. So something that involves sex, yeah, that's the next best thing in regards to thrill seeking. I can see that. He alleged that he and Trump would pick up women by combining to split them from their male companions. We always used to go to Atlantic City to try to find girls in the casino, he said. And if there was a guy, I would say, I'm here to invite the guy to go out to dinner. And he'd say to the woman, let me show you the casino. And as he walked out, he'd put his arm around the girl's shoulder, and the bodyguard would walk up, and Donald whoosh, take the girl away. Wow. None of this sounds particularly out of bounds or out of the realm of possibility. Although, take the girl away, I mean, Trump's a multi-billionaire, giant whale in that casino. I'm not sure how many of these girls were unwilling, if any, if that's the implication to be made here. Epstein also alleged that Trump had an elaborate scheme to procure sex with his friends' wives. He would call the men into his Trump Tower office to ask them about their S lives and offer them S with beauty pageant contestants. Right, he owned the Miss Universe pageant. All that sounds perfectly believable. When you're a guy like Trump, you got to find something to do to fill your hours. And that's going to be, the height of hedonistic pleasures, i.e. S. So, yeah, he would do this while the wives were unknown to their husbands, listening on speakerphones so that he could then seduce the wives on the basis their husbands had betrayed them. Wow, interesting. So get the hubbies to have S with chicks from the Miss Universe pageant, who he probably, gave a comfortable living to, and in return he got to bang his friends' wives. I guess he got some kind of sick thrill out of it. Okay. You must have had a better F than your wife. Tell me about it. Again, I'm not hearing anything that particularly shocks me in regards to what I know about Trump, or would lead me to say, nah, that's not true about him. What Epstein alleges Trump would ask his friends, Epstein can be heard acting out what he alleged was Trump's elaborate seduction technique to Wolf, using Wolf's name, that of his wife Victoria, to demonstrate. Epstein said, and he'd say, what's it like to do that? Do you like having S with your wife? How often do you have S with her? Epstein claimed Trump would also say, you must have had a better F than your wife. Tell me about it. Okay. Then the PDF file alleged Trump would say, we can go and I can go upstairs, or tomorrow come over. There's this girl coming in from LA, part of the whatever Hawaiian Tropic contest, so come over. We can have a great time, I promise you, Michael. It's just me and you. We can have a great time. Sounds similar to the kind of, techniques that Epstein himself employed to get all of these dictators, world leaders, potentates, princes, kings to avail themselves of his candy. We can have a great time, Epstein added. The whole time your Victoria is with us on the phone. Then we would use the wife's anger and seduce them. Interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, that's a good-looking broad. So, in April 1997, Trump and Epstein went to the Victoria's Secret Angels party together in Manhattan. This is him with Belgian model Ingrid Cienhavy. I wonder if he banged her. Probably. Anyway, the Epstein tape includes an allegation, which is impossible to verify, that Trump had an affair with a politician while in the White House. I wouldn't be surprised. Epstein offered no proof or sourcing for the claim. He also alleged that Trump cheated on both his first wife, Ivana, and second wife, Marla. Well, we know he's cheated on wives in the past. Yeah, okay. There's nothing at all surprising about that. Marla Maples with a black girl. Okay. All right. At one section, Epstein used a Yiddish racial slur to refer to black women and alleged Trump boasted to him, I'm effing all these black women. Wow. The tape mixes sexual allegations with other aspects of Trump's life. Early in the recording, it seems like a lot of the relationship revolved around sex, which isn't actually surprising considering how Epstein made his living. And all these rich mofos, so many of them are degen scumbags. They don't have anything else that really gives them any kind of thrill. They're all jaded. Early in the recording, Epstein is heard to say, you probably know he had a scalp reduction. He's getting the same male pattern baldness that we all have. He had a scalp reduced. It's hysterical. I really don't care about that. I mean, yeah, the guy's vain, but so what? Trump has long refused to release full medical records, while his White House medical records did not disclose any prior surgeries. Well, I don't know that plastic surgery counts, yo. He's charming. In a way, devious, he's charming. To some extent, he's a typical tragedy where he believes his own BS. Oh, now that sounds like Trump. Like to a T. Yeah. And Epstein offers his eyewitness account of Trump Tower and Trump's office, where he said Trump had fake honors on the wall. Trump, he claimed, would yell at his personal assistant, Rona Graff, who's a loyal and perfect secretary, as well as Matthew Calamari Sr., his bodyguard, and Michael Cohen, his attorney, was now an enemy. Epstein compared Trump to an emotionally challenged 9-year-old. No comment. And said he screams and yells at Rona more than anybody else. Yeah. His screaming is how he treats people. He has a tantrum, not a temper. If you don't understand him, it's frightening. Once you understand him, it's sort of silly. I mean, this sounds like a guy that knows Trump pretty well. Does that mean that the allegations being made here are true? No. It also doesn't mean the allegations are not true. We also have no evidence to disprove that his allegations are not, to disprove those allegations. So we have to use our own intuition and judgment to decide whether or not Epstein is telling the truth. Epstein also told Wolf he had positive things to say about Trump. He's charming in a devious way. Yeah, to some extent, it's a tragedy. We heard that. He has delusions of grandiosity. No, you don't need to be Trump's friend to know that. Then he takes it on board. He added that he had a self-deprecating nature and was not vulgar. Sounds about right. He's funny, Epstein said. Self-awareness means you're self-aware. He's aware of that person, Donald Trump. He talks about the Trumpster. Trump's getting laid, so he refers to himself in the third person. So that pretty much fits in with his delusions of grandeur. Yeah, a lot of these people will refer to themselves in the third person. Nothing I wouldn't believe here. Despite Epstein speaking of his Democratic friends, he offered praise for some aspects of Trump's time in office and said, I think he's doing a pretty good job at certain things, and he's not getting credit for it. All the tea stuff and bathroom stuff, giving police back their weapons, these are relatively minor symptomatic issues and don't really address the core problems. But anyway, there's a picture of Epstein in his final days. Looks terrible, which you would expect of a guy who was in prison on suicide watch because he's supposedly suicidal. Yeah, he managed to hang himself with paper sheets. Okay, gotcha. Anyway, continuing on the tape, Epstein, speaking in a New York accent, also mentioned the rich and powerful. In a deposition released after his death, Epstein admitted under oath that he dropped the names of people he had never met. Maybe he's saying that. Well, this is later on, way after the fact, that he'd never met. Yeah. If I had to guess, I would say he's saying now that he'd never met them because he'd been coerced or threatened in some way. Yeah, that's just my take. The names he mentioned on tape: former President Bill Clinton, Ivanka Trump, and her husband Jared Kushner, then Defense Secretary James Mattis, and names associated with Trump. All of a sudden I've never met them. Yeah, okay. This doesn't sound like a guy who's afraid for his life. Oh, no. And the billionaires Carl Icahn and Tom Barrack, both of whom are friends of Trump. Yeah. No, but Trump, I'm sure Trump had nothing to do with the suicide. Yeah. Clinton was a long-standing friend of Epstein, but has denied any accusation after the PDF files disgraced in the mid-2000s. Of course he has, even though he's on flight logs as well, I believe, of going to the island that has nothing on it except a mansion with a bunch of rooms. But apparently the place was just, the bomb dizzy. Everybody had to go there for some reason. All dudes, by the way. Yeah, I wonder. Mattis has no association with him. Ivanka was also photographed with him as a child. But Kushner has never been known to be linked. Kushner, the Jew? No comment. Has never been known to be linked to him. Well, he is, because Ivanka is linked to him in some way. So indirectly he's linked. But no, we have no bona fide evidence of a direct link. That's true. And nobody's looking for one either because, apparently we don't care. Meaning that the powers that be don't want us to know. So they're going to tell us we don't care. And we're going to believe it because the majority of us are sheeple. Barack appeared in a leaked appointment diary for Epstein from 2016, while Carl Icahn, a corporate raider and long-term Trump friend, was in Epstein's 1997 address book. Interesting. Strangely, for a man who became one of the world's most notorious offenders, Epstein on the tapes offers a damning judgment of Trump, telling Wolf the moral compass just doesn't exist. Yeah, I get the feeling everything with Trump, including any kind deeds, kind acts we've seen him do on camera, are just that, acts, performative in nature. So, there you go. A little more insight into Epstein's relationship with Trump. A relationship that wasn't quite as surface or facile as Trump would have us believe. But you're going to have to decide for yourself whether or not being a PDF file for state power, state agents, certain intelligence agencies, so he was essentially put into that role by greater powers than himself, so he was in essence paid to do a job. You're going to have to decide whether or not someone taking money to blackmail world leaders and corporate magnates also makes them a liar, and you can't trust anything they have to say. Maybe not. But interesting reading. But let me know what you think. Could Epstein be trusted? Do you think the things he had to say about Trump were all true? Do you think Trump availed himself of candy on Epstein Isle, which I guess that's right there, the picture of the island? Looks kind of boring to me from the outside, but I guess there's some fun rides inside we can't see. But let me know what you think in the comments, and please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already. Oh, there's Epstein in front of, I guess, is that maybe his private jet? Bought with money extorted from absolutely nobody who did absolutely nothing, who in fact didn't even exist, because there's no list of them anywhere, even though it was supposedly on Pam Bondi's desk. Let me know what you think in the comments, and hit that notification bell, because, YouTube is not going to let you know when I post new content, because I tell it like it is. I talk about the root causes of problems, not just the symptoms of problems, so as to distract you like most supposed non-mainstream pundits like the Daily Mail do online, even though they're actually now the mainstream, and they are controlled, they are shills, while I am not. Anyhow, I am the realist, also known as the MGTO, philosopher, because if you are a man going your own way, then you are a realist, and I wish you all a good and pleasant day. Take care.